All right, happy Friday, good people of the garden. What is it? Today's Friday, I believe 15th of March. I did an initial mix of this soil last night. This was the cocoa and ocean forest. And I do have some other cocoa that I mixed up a few weeks ago for an indoor house plant, a philodendron. But I am going to plant these 3 dahlias. I have these 10-gallon, I believe they're AC Infinity fabric pots, and then the XL bases, which are these self-watering bases. Essentially, I'll show you, I have one from last year. Yeah, this one was the end of last season. I think this was tomatoes, I can look. But you can see how essentially the roots come through the bottom of the fabric pot, these feeder roots or watering roots, and they work their way down, and then it just takes the water it needs from the base below. And I found that you do have to top water a little bit, especially with the organic amendments, to kind of help them break down worm castings or whatever organic mix you use. But real quick, I'm going to mix these up. Hopefully I have enough for both. Basically I have two. I'm hopeful to fill the 2 of these up with this. And then I've got, this has been in the garage essentially all winter. It's pretty dry. It's kind of cool to see all the roots and stuff. I doubt you'll pick that up. I don't want to get, but anyways, this one's recycled from last year. 10-gallon. And then we'll go from there, because I have the 3 dahlias. The dahlias will go in these. Optimistic that this will be enough. That won't run out of space for the roots. And then depending if these go well, I may transplant these into a garden box next year. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'll fill this up about, you can see, moisture's kind of spread through this pretty well. I mixed this pretty thoroughly after I did the video last night, and there wasn't a reasonable amount of moisture in here. It feels like I can squish it real hard and I can just start to feel kind of the water. I can't make it, I can't necessarily squeeze any water out of it, but it almost makes like a snowball that doesn't quite stick together. Enough moisture that I'm comfortable with. It's not dry, and it's been a little bit drizzly today, so I won't water these in tonight, especially with it being evening time. I don't want to drown out these pots and have it freeze. Or soil feels, it's not hot, but it's warmish. Been in this black tub, taking whatever sun it's been getting all day. A few more scoops in here. All right, and what we're gonna do, add a few scoops of rice hulls. Combination of these and the pumice. What did I add? 3 scoops? Do 1 more. make for a pretty good alternative to, and then this pumice. Stuff's beautiful. It's heavy. Three scoops of that. And then, ooh, this Montana Grow, which is, I think it's silica rich, but it's volcanic ash. It's just the Montana Grow is I believe the brand from the site that they take this ash. We'll mix that in there a little bit. And I'll put some more of the Montana Grow in for the little root cluster or the bulb. Forgive me for not using the right terminology. I'm sure I am mislabeling something, but there's already aeration in with the Fox Farm with Ocean Forest. It has perlite in it, but a little more is always great. And instead of using perlite, this gives it a nice little mix between the pumice and the rice hulls. And then the cocoa itself does a pretty good job managing water. It doesn't need a ton of aeration. This kind of balances it out. But the pumice and everything else gives nice little homes for the microbes. Oh, and the one other thing I wanted to add was this charged biochar. I've got it, so I might as well use it. And this stuff is just beautiful. Really fine. Nice little mix in there. Again, that makes those microbes nice and happy. I get a few more scoops of this in here, and then we'll add a big heaping of worm castings. I don't necessarily need this to be completely the top. I'll fill it just below the grommets. I like the grommets because it gives the option for training. You can use plant ties. Give it a little more mix. Make sure the stuff's all mixed in there. All right, and we will, which dahlia? We'll go with the tropical first. And I believe I'm supposed to plant these like, it says like 6 inches. Planting tips. Plant after the ground is thawed. Fingers crossed we don't get any more freezes. It's possible. Depth 1 inch. So I have the soil filled to about here, so I'm about 1 inch below. So let's get these goodies in here. I got my worm castings. And these things are just gorgeous. They're like clay, but you can break them up real good. And in the next probably month, will get my worm bin back up and running. I need to putting in a shed. All right, 3 handfuls. 3 handfuls of that. bit of Montana grow. And then the other bit of special sauce. The Mycos, the pure mycorrhizal inoculant. Make sure these come in contact as the roots go out. And I don't know if I have the right way to explain this, but as I understand it, it's kind of helps plug the roots into the soil. And I'm not sure what exactly is going to grow out here, so I'm going to put all of these in here and hope for the best. A few extra worm castings around here. Some more Montana grow. Good old volcano love. And then we will top this one off. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to fill the second one with what's in here. And if not, I'll just mix up the leftover batch of coconut with the bag of OFO. I got to decide, I may put down a cover crop. I would prefer to get either some kind of coverage or some roots in the soil on top to, one, help the soil hold together, but also just kind of give me an indicator of kind of just moisture levels. So we'll pat that down a touch. You know what? I don't have my cover crop out here, but I may come back and do that. All right, so this I'll throw it in there. The dahlia tropical. Number 2. Basically the same thing, get this full about half to 2/3 of the way. The soil is beautiful. I really do like the mixing in a little bit of the cocoa. I think what I've run into with the peat moss mixes that I've done that are basically straight peat, they have a tendency to get dried out. My watering skills tend to be too much, too little. And I think the right way to describe it is that the soil gets hydrophobic, where it starts to reject the water. So you go to water it in and it just basically pushes everything out and it runs off. Whereas the cocoa is much more forgiving. I think, well, kind of with the way that I've gone, or the direction that I've gone with using the organic amendments and trying to have a living soil environment, is that I'm less concerned about the pH of the soil. If I were using, I guess, like liquid nutrients or something of that variety, then I need to be a little more conscientious of it. I know the water that comes out of my hose, because I'm on a well, is a little bit on the hard side. So I am aware that if I start having problems, I should probably pay attention. But I haven't had any issues since I've been using the organic amendments. Not that I had a lot of issues before. I'm aware that the water isn't perfect. And in theory, I do have reverse osmosis water in the house, but I just use that for drinking, and then sometimes give it to the house plants. All right. Go through our same little mix. It was rice hulls, hummus, I've got one more bag of this pumice left in my kind of stash of fancy garden supplies, and I'm probably gonna use that as a cover for the strawberries. I'm pretty sure I've already said that. At least for the strawberry, the green stalk strawberry tower that does not have much growing in it, as I try to get that going and back to life. Let me get a little more in here. I think I've got just enough. This should be able to fill this out. So I'll get the 3 dahlias planted, the 2 in the fresh, and then 1 going into my recycled 10-gallon, and then these are going to get set on the side of my deck on the bases. I'm not going to add water or anything into the watering bases until kind of things start happening, but I am excuse me, I am probably going to plant the cover crop, the 12 seed mix on these, just to kind of help keep track of the moisture levels. And then as the weather starts to warm up, as we get into April, like late April or mid to late April, I'll get a little bit of a cover. Not cover, a top dress on these. I have a flowering mix, or an organic flowering mix. But in terms of kind of nutrition that's already in the soil, between the worm castings that I'm adding and the Fox Farm, the ocean forest that's in here, that should get us through these dahlias, I guess, kind of spreading their roots a little bit and getting popped through the soil. The dahlias that I planted last year, if I remember correctly, I don't know, maybe like 3 weeks, I think is kind of what stands out. But I'm not going to water these tonight. I'll get that cover crop on and do kind of a light surface water, because I know this one here is definitely going to need to get some moisture in there. Because like I said, that's been in kind of in no man's land for, gosh, I think I took that in late October, early November, so 4 months or so in the garage. So that one's kind of going to be an unknown. I don't 100% remember the whole breakdown of what's popping there. Beautiful soil. And the hope is to keep this soil kind of in circulation for a very, very long time. I'm going to get the fabric pots from last year. I think there's 6 of them. And I'll dump those in a bin, mix those up, rehydrate them, get some new organic amendments in there, a little more biochar, load those up, and then top whatever those go into. Those are probably going to go into these. I'll use them for some of the tiger lilies. I have 5-gallon bags or 7-gallon bags with the smaller version of these AC Infinity self-watering pots, which I don't know if that's enough room or not for the tiger lilies, but we'll at least try with a few of them. All right, and this one, this is the Firebird. These all feel really dry, so I have no idea what to expect. Roll of the dice. All right. So we'll do, got a little excited there, a little more of the Montana Grow than I'm sure I need. But this is one of those that I don't think there's an issue with too much. And these beautiful worm castings. But yeah, like I said, I'll get my worm bin set up here in the next little bit. Once I get a shed, it'll go inside there. And then the other one is the mealworms for the birds. And then hopefully down the road, I'm gonna add a few chickens. I've been threatening that for a very long time. And I think I'm finally at a place where I'm able to take that on. I bought a bunch of mealworms for the birds. Gosh, I guess it was about about 2 months ago. And we have a lot of bluebirds. And they were loving it. I had more bluebirds coming than I knew what to do with. But with the cost of the live mealworms and whatnot, to keep that up, I should probably take that on myself and figure out how to grow a population. All right, nothing fancy here. Get the cover crop on this tomorrow, make a quick video of that, and decide I want to put pumice on the top of everything because I think it's beautiful and it's nice and clean. But I'll pat this down. And I am I'm gonna add a little bit more soil. I had, with this stuff, I had dropped in just a cup of perlite that I had. So this is basically just straight cocoa with the Build-A-Soil Cocoa Mineral Edition, which, if I remember correctly, is just like basalt and rock dust and a couple other things to kind of help make the cocoa all it can be for living soil. So this one will have a little bit of perlite love on the top of it. I think that's good. Fancy, fancy. All right. All right, and then number 3 for this, what hopefully will be a beautiful duet dahlia. So sad. Got a little excited and wound up tearing that. The good news is I have video of it, so get this opened up. Still feels like there's moisture in here. Top feels real dry. I mean, there's a lot of Montana growing this. So I'm guessing that used to be what was up. So I will try to dig this down a little bit. All right, I might as well stick to what I'm doing. I'll give it some fresh worm castings in here. Like I said, I won't go as much with this one because it has why not a little more worm castings? And this has some of that straw on it that I had put over with the roses, that mushroom log, which I will probably track down some more of those. But all right, let's get tidied up. Those are good. All right, let me carry this one over and then we'll take a quick look. And I will be done. Ooh, ah. All right, let's take a quick look before we finish up. But this is what we've got right here. Tropical. Got these set up here, just kind of in the corner of my deck. Good old bird feeders up there. Hopefully the birds don't poop too much on them, but the Firebird, or Firebird, and then the Duet. And like I said, that a little dry on top, but I'll add a little water to that tomorrow, and we'll get a cover crop planted. So the dahlias are officially in their pots, so we shall see how long it takes for something to happen. But anyways, that's all I got for today, so peace.